This is a follow-up video for the overconcentration video I did a little bit earlier today. I had a couple questions about... There's one thing I wanted to clarify that I felt I didn't really make clear later after I looked back on the video. And then I had some follow-up questions about why exactly forcing your opponent to be overconcentrated can be good or bad. Or can be good for you even though you're using your own moves to do that, right? So then the idea is that maybe your moves are a little more inefficient. So I'll get to the second question after I just want to address something I didn't make clear earlier. In this case, this was actually not an example of overconcentration. This was an example of a balance problem. I explained why, because of overconcentration reasons, why white didn't want to reinforce the top side, normal, like with a normal reinforcing move, and because white's trying to avoid being overconcentrated. But because white's trying to avoid being overconcentrated, she creates a balance, an unbalanced position, and you could argue that because she can't avoid overconcentration, her position is already unbalanced. Or imbalanced, not unbalanced. Actually, I don't know if that's a word, but I know imbalance is a word, so imbalanced. But yeah, so that's why white plays here. But because it's imbalanced in the opposite sense of overconcentration, it's under-concentrated, or we would just say thin. It's kind of this strange realm where like you have thin shape on one end, then you get like kind of decent shape or good shape, bad shape, then good shape, and then you have thick shape, which is really strong shape. And then at the far end, past thick shape, you get over-concentrated, which I guess past thin on the other end, you might get like dead or damaged stones, right? So you have stones that are really could be damaged. That usually comes up in a position like if you have, for some reason, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a shape that would present itself. Like, say you play this move, and then you back off here. Now this Q13 stone, we would say is damaged, right? Has very little aji, and it can't do much, it's damaged. So that would be past, on the other extreme, past thin. But at the far end, on the other side, is over-concentrated. Not this. I'm not used to putting all my positions up beforehand, but I thought it would be good to do this time. If I can find the position that I had. Okay, yeah, this one. So this is not an example of thin shape. It's not damaged, but it's thin and unbalanced. And most players would look at this and they would say, no, this is a thick shape on the left. This is, it's a little thin on the right, but a lot of players wouldn't say it's directly thin. If they did, they're probably very strong. But yeah, so black, I showed in the previous video, black can invade here, and it's pretty simple for black to make life. Or not make life, but to manage these stones. It does require a bit of reading. But, reading is a skill that you develop. I think it was something like this. Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify. The position is unbalanced, not because it's overconcentrated, but because the players, she was trying to avoid being overconcentrated. And she made it too far on the other end, thin. It's kind of interesting. You could just, one move difference can shift it between being thick or thin. So it's really important to be careful about that. Okay, so the other question I got was about, even though you can have strategies of making your opponent overconcentrated, you have to spend moves to do that, right? And you're giving away points. So why is that a good thing? Like, maybe you're giving up too much. Last video I kind of used a little hand-waving method of talking about, the proverb or just general idea of a proper extension from a certain wall, like three spaces from a two stone high wall type of thing. But to really talk about this, you have to talk about Tawari Analysis, which is a method of evaluating positions. It's most commonly used for joseki, or maybe large-scale joseki too, but it can be used with any position. And actually, there's two types of Tewari analysis that people use. I'm going to be talking about one type, but the one you might hear more often that's actually easier to misuse is the move order Tewari analysis, where you change the order of moves and see if there's any move that sticks out to you as unnatural. But the one I'm going to be talking today is about kind of a stone removal, I guess I would call it, Tewari analysis, which is you remove an equal number of stones of the same value, right? They can't be a different value for obvious reasons, and you evaluate the position. That it's kind of like you clean the board up to better examine it. So I'm going to go back to before, just to talk about Tewari in general. I'm going to present a short example, and then I'll talk about it with regards to one example that I presented before. So this is a really famous trick play. It's called the 19-point trick play, although when I show it, it'll be 18 points because maybe I missed analyzing it a bit, but it's 19 point trick play. It's probably credited to Dosaku because I'm guessing he's came up with it. He might not have come up with it, but it was definitely something that he played or would bait with sometimes, or he put it in his books and stuff. So anyway, black, it's a trick play because black invites white to cut with this 2-space extension instead of a push or a 1-space. Even 1 space is a mistake, so pushing is normal, or cutting. But black kind of tricks or invites white to cut, and so white pushes and black blocks. And black is planning to make a huge sacrifice. And you might think, well, the corner is pretty big, and it looks like these stones are going to die. And you'd be right, they're going to die. But they're for a good cause. Black makes this sacrifice, and then black gets all these forcing moves to make a huge, like, super thick wall. And now you might be saying, well, was it worth it, right? How much did black give up? And if you count the points, black gave up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7 points, and these are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so 17. And then the 1 stone capture here is 18. And you could probably assume black's not going to turn here right away, so maybe, white pushes and it's 19, I guess. I might be miscounting. I've heard this is a 19-point trick play, but every time I count it, it's 18, so could be wrong. Anyway, so that's this position. Okay, you're giving up 18 points. Is it really worth it? Is it efficient? So we can use Tawari analysis. We can count. So in this sacrifice, black gave up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stones, and 1 over here, so 6 stones. So we can remove 6 stones from white that of equal value. So since these were sacrificed, we would just remove white stones that were on dame, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we count the space inside. Oh, hopefully that's... I know it's a solicitor, but they call me a lot. And if you look inside now, it's clearly 16 plus 2 is 18 points. And you say, okay, now you have... This is 18 points, and black has a huge wall. Was it worth it? Probably, because if you compare it to, like, a normal position, like, the colors are going to get mixed up here. But, let's say it's like this, and black gets sealed in here, and he makes, he makes normal life, like this. This is about, 12, 14, 15 points. It's pretty close to 18, and, white... in this case, black ended in sente. If we really wanted to be accurate, then black could probably play this endgame. And this would be, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18? 17, 18, yeah. So this would be 18 points for a wall that still has a little bit of weakness, right? White would want to add 1 more stone to make the wall super thick. So the fact that black over here ended in sente and... got an equally good wall, that's a really good result for black. Like, this is a great result, and that's why it's called a trick play. You could probably Google or find the refutation, but I just wanted to introduce the Tewari part of it because we're going to use it in a second. So when we go back to the original world position, last time I talked about a position that looked like this. And this is also attributed to Dosaku. I think I said that in the last video, where white plays here to induce black to respond before pressing on black here. And one question I got was, well, is this really worth it because we're giving black points, right? This is giving black points. This is actually locally a joseki for the left-hand side, ignoring the upper right over here. But, is it worth it to do this? And then you make this move, and this is just follows. And I'm going to add a move to make it easy, right? I'm going to make it so that white ends. And the reason for that is now there's an equal number of black and white stones on the board, so it's easier to evaluate. And as I was preparing this, I was saying, okay, we could do Tawari Analysis. We already recognize that this is overconcentrated, but white had to sacrifice some stones to really, accomplish this shape, so was it worth it? Well, okay, we could count the amount of white stones and remove an equal number of black stones. So there's a white stone that got sacrificed here, and this stone is dead, so that's 2 white stones, right? At the same time, we can remove 1 and, 2 black stones, right? These 2. They also have almost no value, just like the captured white stones. And if you look at this, this is the exact same shape, basically. But it is, black is still really overconcentrated with these 3 stones. They're really inefficient. Because there's still, you wouldn't want this to be so close, even after you remove the stones that you sacrificed. And, you could be technical and say, okay, there's a captured black stone here, so let's remove 1 white stone here. It's about the same shape. White may lose a couple points, but it's really about the same shape. And, yeah, so this is a really good result for white, because black is super overconcentrated. Yeah, so that was basically what I wanted to follow up on. I had another quick question. What's this? Oh, right. So I was going to introduce one other position. This is also not a very common move, this crosscut, but it's also a technique to overconcentrate your opponent. And we could look at this with Tewari too. Whoops. Usually, if white pushes again, here white will take the stone. If white pushes again, sometimes black will pull back here. Well, actually, black hunts first, then pulls back, and then white takes. And black can get thickness. It's a kind of variation in the joseki. But white can also play this way. Sorry, people are making noises. And if it's like this, you could do Tawari Analysis. So if white had a strong position in the upper left, this wall would again be too close to the stone. And we could say, okay, remove 2 black stones, remove 2 white stones. And yeah, it's much too close. It's way overconcentrated. At the very least, you'd want this white stone to be here. Whoops. But even more than that, you want this white stone to be turning, right? Developing outward. You wouldn't want another stone here. That doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, these are just basic, not basic, but I think I might have assumed a little bit too much about what people knew about overconcentration. So I just wanted to briefly revisit some questions that I got about it and clarify some things. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and I hope it gives answers or clarifies some thoughts from the previous video. And yeah, thanks for watching.